Let's jump right into this deeply emotional explainer, covering the gripping movie Flowers for ZIRACHI. We're bypassing the usual pleasantries today because this story, man, it's harrowing. It will literally shake you to your core. But as you'll see, it also beautifully illustrates the sheer resilience of the human spirit.
Have you ever trusted someone completely, only to have them sacrifice your future for their own greed? Honestly, take a second to think about that. It's a deeply unsettling thought, right? Well, that vulnerability is exactly where our protagonist, ZIRACHI, finds herself. It hooks into our own understanding of trust and sets the stage for a profound look at what happens when our most intimate bonds are completely weaponized against us.
Section 1. The Ultimate Betrayal. Disguised Lies. So, her boyfriend makes these beautiful promises. A free trip to Europe, a better life, a chance for real prosperity. But the reality? It is brutal. She's callously sold to a vicious trafficking ring led by a ruthless figure named Sabi. The boyfriend claims one seat remains on their transport, and he uses that thin, flimsy excuse to just abandon her and pocket the money from her sale. It's the unimaginable cruelty of human greed, totally masked as affection.
Before the betrayal, he fed her these incredibly intense, poetic lines. He told her, "Love is a painting on the wall. I am the shadows and you're the storm." You know, predators often use beautiful words exactly like that to blind their victims to the actual storm that's brewing just over the horizon.
Section 2. Trapped in the Shadows. Captive Nightmare.
ZIRACHI's descent into this nightmare happens in a chaotic, terrifying sequence. First, she's lured in by that fake job and travel promise we just talked about. Then comes the jarring reality of arriving at the actual brothel facility. And finally, she is completely stripped of her identity. Inside Sabi's den, these women are told to literally forget their real names, their families, their pasts. They are broken down systematically just to be rebuilt as prisoners.
Sabi, the architect of this whole nightmare, operates on this chilling ethos. This world dog hate dog. That terrifying survival of the fittest philosophy absolutely rules the den. Sabi views human beings as inherently selfish and wicked, and she uses that bleak worldview to justify the atrocities she commits against these young women every single day.
17. That number represents a twisted record within the facility. 17 men forced upon a single girl in one day. To put that into perspective, it's a staggering, horrific reality that paints a really vivid picture of the sheer desperation in the environment ZIRACHI is thrust into. It's a place literally designed to crush the soul.
Section 3. A mother's desperate fight. Defiance in the dark.
Despite all this unimaginable suffering, ZIRACHI actually becomes pregnant and gives birth to a child. She names the baby Manachi, which means God is alive. Bringing a child into this incredibly dark world ends up being the ultimate catalyst for ZIRACHI's resistance. The child becomes her absolute beacon, a literal representation of life, hope, and divine presence in a place that is utterly devoid of all three.
However, in Sabi's den, even a miracle has a price tag, and that price is 7 million naira. To Sabi, this innocent child is nothing more than inventory, just a product to be sold to the highest bidder and used in horrific rituals. But this unthinkable transaction, it triggers the theft of the baby and ultimately pushes ZIRACHI right over the edge.
In response to this imminent threat against her child, ZIRACHI makes a vow. I don't see this one die. It is an unbreakable promise to protect her child at all costs. She absolutely refuses to let the corruption of her captors claim the only pure thing she has left. Her fear is completely replaced by this fierce, unrelenting maternal instinct. Section 4. Light in the Darkness. Force of Reckoning. Now, the hypocrisy of her situation is just agonizing. On one hand, the ex-boyfriend who sold her into slavery is now living comfortably. He's actually masquerading as a pastor, claiming to have found God and seeking this cheap redemption. On the other hand, ZIRACHI had to survive the unimaginable trauma of being forced upon 1,000 men. So, forcing him to look at the human cost of his so-called salvation makes her ultimate confrontation deeply, deeply satisfying.
But ZIRACHI doesn't have to fight entirely alone in the end. The crucial turning point actually arrives when Nipik's criminal department uncovers a ledger tracking all the infants born in Sabi's den. The authorities finally step in.
This provides a massive glimmer of hope that Sabi's criminal network is unraveling, and most importantly, that ZIRACHI's child can actually be found.
Section 5. Lessons from the Ashes. Real-world takeaways.
Looking back at ZIRACHI's journey, we recognize the fragile danger of giving away blind trust. We see how quickly beautiful words can mask truly dark intentions. But we also witness the unbreakable primal power of the maternal bond, acting as an anchor in a sea of total chaos. And ultimately, we learn about finding unimaginable strength in the absolute darkest of places. ZIRACHI's story proves that the human spirit can endure things that seem totally impossible and still somehow find a reason to fight back.
There is a soaring, poignant lyric from the film that really stays with you. You turn ashes into a place to start. It's an incredibly moving reminder that even when everything is burned to the ground, the remnants aren't just an end, they are the foundation for a whole new beginning. So, what ashes in your own life could you use to rebuild? Thank you so much for joining me for this powerful explainer, and I hope it leaves you with a renewed perspective on trust, survival, and ultimate rebirth.